Well, hello. My name is Rosanne Clark, and I am here with National Sales Director Emeritus Kendra Cross. And I am so excited today to be coming to you from her beautiful office in Goshen, Indiana, as we are covering the topic of money matters. And today our topic is on paying off debt. And my dear, amazing friend that I respect so much has taught me so much about handling money, the wisdom that can be learned from her in her journey and her story and the way that she handles money now. And so I'm so excited to introduce you to Kendra and have you hear a little bit about her journey, where her journey began with her money and things that she did to pay off not just one but 3 homes, and as well as her credit card debt. So she's going to be able to share with us some tips to be able to strategize for that, as well as some things that were going on in her head and in her heart at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Kendra and just ask you to share a little bit about your journey and how it started and what helped you.
Well, as you know, it's not as it may appear. And sometimes when you look at someone, you think they may have it all together. But I love the fact, Roseanne, that you know my heart and you know my story. And she chose to invite me anyway. So today I'm here to give you hope. I'm here to be a voice of hope and encouragement, because what I have learned is that a money problem or a money challenge is usually not a financial one. If you've got a money issue, it's because of something else. And mine was dealing with the urgent and immediate and not doing what's important. So as a Cadillac director, I had developed $32,000 in debt over 7 cards. And I don't even know how it happened. It was just I was not paying attention to detail. So here I was, talking the talk, but not really walking the walk. And it's almost as though, you know what it's like when your jeans are too tight, you know that you may have gained some weight, and you refuse to step on the scales. Well, that's what happened to me. And I thought, I don't want to add all of these up because it's going to be ridiculous, but I knew that it was bad. And one day my integrity just tipped the scale and said, you can't keep on talking one thing and living another. So I laid out all 7 cards and realized that I had accumulated a total of $32,000 in credit card debt. Now my husband wasn't on any of those. I had gotten those all by myself. I did it all by myself. And so I had to get rid of it all by myself. And I laid them out from the smallest balance to the largest balance. I made a minimum payment on cards 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I looked at the first card and I thought, that was, I don't know, $1,600 approximately. And I thought, how long is this going to take me to nail this card? Now at that time, I had more inventory than I needed. I think that it's wise to have, if you are operating on a profit basis, to have somewhere between 5 and 9,000 in retail value of product on your shelf. That means that you're turning over $500 to $600 in sales, $700, $800 a week, and you're not having to run to your friends to get the product. So I had a nice inventory, but I had ordered more than I really needed because I was just qualifying for a car. I had a very strong retail business. I developed 100 clients, and if you have 100 clients using the basic skincare, you're selling about $40,000 a year. So because I was selling so much, I had great confidence in my selling skills. And I thought, okay, if I've got 1,600, I'm going to sell everything that I can. I'm going to sell through the next week and a half, and then take all of that money and throw it at the card. And the reason I could do that, Roseanne, is because I had too much inventory and I didn't have to reinvest. So within about 10 days, I had sold $1,600 worth of product. I took all of the money, completely annihilated that card, cut it up into 1,000 pieces, cut it up, and put it in an envelope, sealed the envelope. I couldn't tell anybody. Who am I going to tell? I'm not going to tell my husband because he didn't know yet. And I'm not going to tell my beautiful offspring directors, nor am I going to tell my clients. And I don't want my friends to know. It's my own secret. so I did a little private boogie dance and went on to number 2. Now, what am I going to do? So the next thing I did was I made the minimum payment on cards 3 through 7 and threw everything I could at card number 2. Well, obviously, my inventory now is beginning to get down to a reasonable amount, and now I had to do the 50-50. I had to take half of what I was selling and reinvest it, and the other half I could put on that card. So here's the story. Here's the good news. In 18 months, I annihilated all $32,000 in sales, in debt. And when it was done, I had 7 envelopes sealed and completely paid off. I said, Bob, let's go out for dinner. And we're going to celebrate. And he said, celebrate what? And I said, I'll tell you at dinner. I procrastinated all through dinner, and we got to dessert. And I began telling, I said, Bob, here's the story. This is why we're here. He had ordered carrot cake, which is his favorite dessert. And his fork is in midair as I'm telling the story. He didn't move. He didn't say a word. I'm finally finished, told him what I just told you, and then he said, Kendra, how did that happen? You know what? I didn't have an answer. I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but I do know that it will never happen again. Once you become completely debt-free, the world looks different. You walk through life like this instead of like this. You walk through with a sense of abundance and expectancy instead of that feeling of scarcity and low self-esteem. So what I began doing was, I have 1 card now, and I pay it off every night right here on my computer. Now, I know that I don't have to do that, but I found that when I am accountable every night to pay completely for what I spent that day, it keeps my spending in check. It just keeps me under an umbrella of authority. Now, Bob said, you know you don't need to do that. You know, you could do this once a month. You could even do this once a week. And maybe it's just my tendency to OCD. I don't know what it is, but every night I find great satisfaction in sitting down, looking at what I spent during the day, and then paying it off.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think people can relate with, especially credit card debt. I don't know how it happened. But to stop it from continuing had to have been a conscious decision. So even though maybe there were habits that developed before that were subconscious, I believe you really had to be intentional about not continuing to use the credit cards. So even though you were paying it off, what did you have to switch in your brain to not use those anymore so that what you were paying off wasn't getting bigger while you were paying off another card?
Good question. I became accountable to my husband. And if that sounds old school, sorry, but it works. It absolutely works. When I had to say this is where my resources went today, he doesn't look at it every day, of course, and he's not looking over my shoulder. I have chosen. And when I have to explain to you what I have done with my money, whether you're my good friend, whether you're a parent, or whether you're my spouse, there is some ownership. There's a lot of ownership that goes with that. And so he never said, this looks like you're going overboard, but when I just had to lay it out in front of someone else, that was the problem, was that I was not accountable. It made a huge, huge difference. And what I realized was it wasn't a money problem. I was bringing in $6,000 a month as a Cadillac director, for goodness sake. It wasn't that I didn't have enough money. It was where I chose to do it. So I do a tithe right off the top, before expenses, just a tithe right off the top. Now I've got 90% left over, and then it's a decision as to what the variables are and what the things are that are not variable. And I took it from there.
Yes. So some women have said that debt can kind of freeze them, or it's so overwhelming how, you know, they just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. One of my favorite things that Kendra says is, you know, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel and it's not another train. There is hope.
There is hope.
So when, for the woman that says, I'm so overwhelmed. You know, I have so much debt. It's not motivating to me to pick up the phone because I feel so deflated. What helped you to sell more during that time instead of feeling so stuck it just kind of stopped you?
What do they say that the longest journey begins with, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with what?
The first step.
The first step. And I think that 32,000 or 90,000 or 200,000 looks like so much to be able to chunk it down. Mary Kay said you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. And so it's to be able to segment that debt. When we decided, when we moved here, we fell in love with a house we couldn't afford. And when we moved here from Colorado to Goshen, fell in love with a home we couldn't afford. And I said, I will make the mortgage payments. And Bob said, doing what? Because I hadn't done very much with Mary Kay before. And I said, doing Mary Kay. And he started to laugh. He started to do that thing through his nose, that like, right. I said, I can do this. And he said, how many people do you know? Or I said, I can do this. If I hold 3 parties a week, I can make the mortgage payment. And he said, how many people do you know? And I said, 4. I know 4 people, but they like me, and they'll introduce me to 2 of their friends. So now I have this mortgage payment, and this was the understanding. I had to make the mortgage payment, and if I didn't, if I had to dip back into our personal savings, then in the fall I was going to have to go back to teaching, and I so did not want to do that. Shortly after signing the mortgage agreement, knowing that I needed, my focus was 3 parties a week, I found out that age 31 I was pregnant with a child we thought we'd never have. He's 37 now. But I was pregnant, and I was so sick, thinking, I don't feel like it, I'm sick, I'm having this baby. And then I realized the agreement that I'd made with my husband was that if I dipped into our savings, then I would have to go back to teaching in the fall. If I went back to teaching in the fall, my whole reason for being a mom would go out the window, because I was surrendering that daily influence to someone else.
Right.
And I'd have to put my child in daycare and then go give my best 8 hours to somebody else, to somebody else's children. And that just did not compute. All of my goals and dreams were going out the door. So I thought, do the thing that you really don't want to do. Do now what most women won't do, so that for the rest of my life I can do what most people can't, most women can't. And I'm here to say that on the other side of the dream, this is remarkable. And so that's what I did. I held 3 parties a week, and I began to get really good at selling the product and not letting other people know that I was sick. But I was motivated because I wanted to be that stay-at-home, or that work-at-home mom. Here's the good news. I began making the mortgage payments, and I began making double mortgage payments. And honestly, I did 3 to maybe 4 parties a week, but I did them every week. Every single week. And if something would postpone, then I would simply make certain that I was doing reorder business, or I was generating income of another kind. I did not go to Dairy Queen and order a banana split, because I really wanted to pay off that mortgage. So I began making double payments, and the good news is that 30-year mortgage was paid off in 13 years. How exciting. And when you know that you are marking it down, and that mortgage was blah, 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 my husband got on board, and the women in my sphere of influence began to see what was happening, and the unit began to grow. And the unit began to grow not because they wanted to just hold 3 parties a week, but because they saw what was happening in our lives. And that we were able to truly have it all, to be a work-at-home mom, have a great marriage, and have money. We earned our first pink car coming out of qualification, out of DIQ, and 3 Equinox level and then moved on to Cadillac. And we earned our first Cadillac with 32 women in our unit. Because why? They were holding 3 parties a week. And because they were holding 3 parties a week, they were making money. And because they were making money, they reordered the stock that they sold. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you really want? And why do you want it? Do you want the freedom that comes with financial freedom? Do you want just that burden of the world off your shoulders? Do you want to do something for your family? Do you want to go somewhere? Or, and do you want to support the work of the kingdom here on earth? That was something that really drove me. I began to think, who in the world funds nonprofit organizations? Well, people who are making a profit, for goodness sake. So I wanted to make a profit so that I could support nonprofit. And what a joy to be able to write a significant check every single month, knowing that that was from the profit from my Mary Kay business. To know that I could fund an entire youth group to go somewhere, that I could pay someone else's NIPSCO bill if they couldn't afford it, that I could help a mom put braces on a child who needs orthodontia. So what is it that is motivating you to generate income? And if you need to generate income for your family, then why not have it be something that you enjoy doing? If you don't need to generate income for your family, how about supporting something that really needs the money, a nonprofit organization, a ministry, or a family that wants to send their children to a Christian college or a Christian school? You can do that with this business, and I have done all of that. So I want you to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not another train. Figure out, what do I want? Why do I want it? How can I chunk this down into something manageable? And when you begin that journey of 1,000 miles or 30,000 steps, your family will be on board if there's something in it for them. My husband was so excited because we were paying off debt. When my kids got a little bit older, then it was doing things for the family, with the family, and they would be able to see that grow. But I'll tell you what, this is the best thing that is out there. Now that I'm 3 years on this side of the dream, I love my life. We're traveling the world, continuing to travel the world, but our feet are still firmly planted on the fact that I'm accountable to my husband. We are able to support the work of the church. And because of the Family Security Program, a very generous check is deposited into my account on the first of every month, which is going to be Thursday, Thursday of this week. And I can count on that until I turn 80. So blessed, so blessed. You are doing the right thing by leading these women, getting their toes pointed in the right direction, realizing this business is fun, this business is profitable, and there is a reason that we're doing what we're doing.
It's true. So, in closing, there were some other lessons that you taught me along the way about that were just kind of your life mission that you taught women about money management. Will you share those?
Like what? Help me out.
Below your means.
Oh,
you know.
These are 5 things that I learned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have your wisdom now.
Thank you. Okay, there are 5 things that I learned. I had to be reminded. Number 1, make as much money as you can in this business. And I don't mean to sound heartless or ruthless, but this is a very, very, very lucrative business. Don't let money lay on the table. And one of the ways to not do that is to take care of the clients you already have. Take great care of them. Each one of them, minimum, if they're using the Miracle Set and the foundation, they will invest $400 a year. Minimum. So take care of the ones you already have and build basic skincare clients. Number 2, eliminate your debt. That's what we just talked about. Number 3, invest in the future, because someday, Lord willing, you will turn 65. And you will choose a lifestyle that is less active than the one that you've got now, and you want to be able to fund that. You want to be able to do things with and for your children. You want to be able to travel this amazing world. So make as much money as you can, eliminate your debt, plan for the future by starting a savings account. Number 4, live below your means. Live below what you can afford. We could afford a bigger home. We could afford a newer car. We could afford more lavish vacations. But we have chosen to live below our means so that, number 5, you can give generously, frequently, and anonymously. That's what it means to help His kingdom come here on earth. How's that going to happen? Well, those of us that have resources are to give to the ministries and to the people that are doing kingdom work. And what a joy that must be to see, for the Lord to see this business, which was founded on godly principles, for the proceeds from that to go to kingdom work is just remarkable. So make as much as you can, eliminate your debt, plan for the future, live below your means, and